Beyond that, we are a little bit different just because of our team approach. If you think about almost really any other wedding vendor, it's typically a guy and a girl and a camera, right? It's a little more individual operation, which is, you're hiring an artist who has a beautiful, amazing artistic vision for your day, for your film. You're hiring them to fulfill that vision. So we're really trying to create different types of content, shooting some later today about couples, about weddings, about wedding trends and opportunities, and how do you do this thing?
Welcome to Business Ninjas, brought to you by WriteForMe, where you'll hear from business leaders who are out there growing their business and slaying it every day. Learn from the masters. Let's get started.
Hi, and welcome to another episode of Business Ninjas. I'm here today with Julianna Oates, Director of Client Experience at Toast Wedding Films. How you doing today, Julianna?
I'm so good. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Oh, it is my pleasure. Thanks for spending some time with us. Please tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and Toast Wedding Films.
Yeah, so I currently live in New Hampshire with my husband. We both work here at Toast. So my background is in digital marketing, social media, content creation, all the good stuff. And I came to Toast about 5 years ago. I started, thankfully, I had the cool opportunity of being kind of employee number one at Toast. It was just me doing all the pieces. And then over the years, as our team has grown, as our company's grown drastically, I've gotten to change, in my roles to kind of develop into the position I really know and love now, which is the Director of Client Experience team. So I get to do a little bit of a lot of different pieces and help oversee where Toast is moving and grooving. But really my day-to-day role is overseeing our team who helps make sure that our couples have everything they need to have the best wedding day ever.
Excellent. And tell me the Toast Wedding Film story. How long they've been around? What's the origin story there?
Yeah, Toast has been known now is right around 9-ish years, maybe a little bit 10. So our owner, Zach, started Toast a bunch of years ago. He is a filmmaker by trade. He's a documentary filmmaker. He started doing everything he could, as a young guy, filming any project that would come his way, and got a lot more corporate gigs and realized weekends were free. You got stuff to do on weekends. You film corporate during the week. You got time on weekends. What happens on weekends? Weddings. So he started filming weddings, and I realized that there was a large need in the market for couples to have a little more input and say into their wedding video. I know myself, when I was looking to hire my own wedding videographer 8 years ago tomorrow, actually our 8-year anniversary is tomorrow. When we were looking to hire our own videographer, I couldn't find someone who was going to be willing to give me kind of the opportunity to speak into my film, right? To make changes, to say, I like this kind of style or this kind of music, or I have a vision in mind for this one particular shot. I wanted to have that input opportunity, and I couldn't find that. And Zach found the same thing pretty much on the same timeline. I just didn't know him at the time. He found that couples really were just so excited to get to tailor their film to themselves. So as he started building that into the Toast model, making sure that couples could speak into every part of the creative decision process, Toast really took off. And it really kind of grew from there. And then beyond that, every year we've just gone a little bit more and a little bit more to kind of perfect our method. But still, that opportunity to give couples edits really remains the core of who we are now and why we care so much about what we do. Beyond that, we are a little bit different just because of our team approach. If you think about almost really any other wedding vendor, it's typically a guy and a girl and a camera, right? It's a little more individual operation, which is, you're hiring an artist who has a beautiful, amazing artistic vision for your day, for your film. You're hiring them to fulfill that vision. At Toast, we're a team, which is already a little bit different from most companies. And we also really want to fulfill your vision versus just having our own. So because we are a team, it means we can be really efficient in what we're doing and how we're making our films, because every one of us is doing the part of the process we're best at. Everybody's better or worse at something. That's how life works. So we've kind of divided up our teams. So we have our editors who just edit because they're amazing at color correction and hearing things in the background I can't even hear in the audio, right? They're so specialized in that. Same thing for our videographers. They just film. There's, my team that just does logistics, behind the scenes, planning, coordination. We're kind of divide and conquer to make sure we're doing or providing the best possible video really tailored to each of our couples.
That's an excellent concept, because wedding artists have been notoriously rigid, right? You shop for a person whose style you like, you're paying for them, and then they show up and sort of impose their will on a wedding, which is uncomfortable, but it happens all the time. I've been present for that dozens of times. And the idea that you're there to serve them, silly idea, right? They're paying you to film their wedding. You should stay out of the way and do what they want. And it's fabulous that you guys are doing that. Now, is this localized? Are you working nationally? Where are your clients?
Yeah, we will film anywhere, all over the country. We have filmed everywhere, part because we do have that team approach and we're kind of broken up into different sections. We can film all over and still be local, so some of my videographers are spread out in every major city. There's some of us, I'm closest to kind of Boston as a major city. There's a few of us here in Boston. There's a few of us, in Hartford and Philly and a bunch of different places. We're all still one team. We talk every day. We're all one tiny team. We're just really spread out to cover a lot of area. So we do film all over the country, but I always want to make the distinction. We're not a giant, scary national corporation. It's me and my husband, and Zach and his wife. There's a few couples here in the background kind of making it all happen. We just cover a lot of ground.
And what are the biggest challenges that you're solving for your clients?
I think that ability to have the input is, like we said, is the biggest piece for them. I know when I think about my own wedding video, which was not great. I was young, broke out of college. I know I couldn't really afford very much. I just had a friend set up a camera. The thing that makes my wedding video so special to me is not even necessarily just seeing myself and my husband all dressed up. It's the other intangible pieces you don't get to look back on in a day. It's seeing my grandma smile when she sees me come down the aisle. It's hearing my grandfather give his prayer at the dinner. And those are things I'm never going to be able to experience again because they're not here. So it is these pieces that are they're tangible in their intangibleness of how we think about the loved ones in our life. And that is really something I think couples aren't confronted with until they think about their wedding. If you're putting so much time and energy and money into one day, you want to preserve it and you want to capture it, and you still need photo. Everybody needs a photographer. This is just a different way to relive all of these emotions that are surfacing on one day. I think especially the way we do it, we get to really help them capture those emotions in a very unique way.
That's excellent. Hey, when does anyone spend more money on themselves or plan any more for an event than a wedding, right? It should be perfect. It should be documented. It should be transparent, meaning you don't have to hold their hand and say, go take a film of that person and do this and that. Yeah. So I applaud your approach. Tell me about the COVID years. How have you guys been able to grow the business in the last couple of years?
Yeah. COVID was, rough for the world, right? That's not a shock for anybody. Definitely for the wedding industry, as for so many others, not saying it was just us, but for the wedding industry, it held some really unique challenges because for some parts of the country, weddings couldn't happen for 6 months, years, sometimes years after. For some parts of the country, they opened up in May. Utah opened like in May 2020. So there's a really wide variety of what couples were experiencing. And especially because we do have couples all across the country, that was a really unique challenge for Toast, working with couples in so many different states who each had different restrictions, and every city had a different restriction and choices. And that definitely, that brought some unique challenges to us as we were looking at the entire year of 2020 moved, right? We had couples that moved their wedding 2, 3, 4, 5 times. Oof. And every time you look at a project that moves, any business owner can tell you that comes with a lot of extra costs on the company side. As we're trying to work with our couples to refigure out what is best for them, we really felt passionately about doing our best by our couples, knowing that this is the worst possible thing that could happen to your wedding, right? Having to, beyond your control, move everything you've spent years planning and your life dreaming about. So we made the decision to move with all of our couples to new dates and no extra cost for them. It was a lot for Toast. It was a lot for us, but we really felt like that's something we wanted to be able to give our couples, knowing that this was not their fault. It's not anybody's fault. This is just what happened. So 2020 was a year like any other, like none other we've ever experienced. Yeah, sure. Yeah. And that kind of continued into 2021 and 2022. You think of a whole year of weddings move to another year. Yes, that does mean less projects for us, less revenue in 2020. Thankfully, we were able to kind of adapt really quickly, and we started doing a lot of live streaming weddings. There was a huge need in COVID for people, to family members, to want to see from far away. So we very quickly figured out how do we adapt? How do we sell a different type of product very quickly? What does that look like on our tech side? How do we get proper information? How does that feel when people are wearing masks and you don't know who's behind the camera? So we kind of developed some different products that would allow our couples, virtual guests, to interact with couples. We did a lot of like monitoring a virtual, almost like a virtual Zoom wedding, letting couples chat in the box and have breakout rooms and be able to chat amongst themselves at their mini tables, if you will. On questions about the bride and groom, or talk back and forth to them, or we try to figure out what do our couples need and want to give them that wedding experience, knowing that it's not going to be what they are envisioning. But that COVID impact was real, as in we're still feeling that in some aspects now, as weddings have moved and changed, and couples' expectations have changed for what a wedding should or shouldn't look like, what they want, how big, where. Couples are a lot more aware of the potential of date change, where everybody asks now, so what happens if a pandemic comes back and I have to change my date? So lots of long-reaching ramifications as we think about how does the market for weddings overall change here and going forward.
I can only imagine the tech challenges, because some people want to get married in the middle of a field. So having enough Wi-Fi and bandwidth to live stream a film, a video out in the middle of wherever somebody's getting married is not a simple task.
Yeah, and then you have a grandma who doesn't know how to join Zoom, is trying to join on a phone and forgets to mute herself. And we had to figure out some very unique pieces that I never thought I'd have to do. So
hey, well, you guys are obviously malleable and agile, which is certainly important in 2023. Now, you come from a marketing and content creation background, and you guys are creating content all day long for your clients. Tell me about the challenges of finding the time and bandwidth to create content for Toast Wedding and to get the story out, and what role content has played in the growth of Toast Wedding films.
Yeah, I think as any small business, owner person can tell you, that is the daily balance we all struggle with, especially having been here since the very beginning of Toaster. And I did do all of the roles. Right now that I'm kind of segmenting in, it ironically doesn't give me any more time to do some of those pieces. So it's helping all of our team at Toast figure out how do we carve time into our day, which can feel impossible to do, to at least start those wheels turning. And we are definitely not perfect at it. We're working really hard on churning it out, but it's a slow go because we're all trying to do our main projects. But it's just trying to remind all of us that something is better than nothing. If we can only manage to get out one blog post a month, that is still better than nothing. We'll try, at least gets the wheels turning, gets us thinking in that avenue. I think so much of that content space is just getting those fires in your brain going. So you are more aware when a new topic does come up, or you know how to use this piece of content to better repurpose it in the future. So we just really started kind of diving back into our social end of last year, early this year, and being a little more intentional about not just putting out the beautiful films we've created, but taking parts of those to make it especially more consumable on social. So, 15-second clips, 10-second clips, using trending audio, using better captions, using appropriate and less hashtags, because hashtag use has changed overall, but just adapting what we're doing to be a little more intentional to making sure we're actually using it for its best opportunity, not just throwing spaghetti at a wall and hoping that it sticks.
I'm sure there's challenges because not everyone wants their wedding used as promotional material.
Yeah, 100%. We have plenty of couples who've asked not to, use their faces online, and we're totally happy to respect that. There's a lot we can't show, a lot I wish I could show that are gorgeous that, we don't put online due to, respecting their privacy. But thankfully, lots of our couples are really fine and, happy to have their faces online. So we get to use their beautiful wedding days to help inspire other people. Weddings are the ultimate kind of, brides are looking to consume wedding content. I've spent thousands of hours in my life, not even as an employee, as a bride, bride to be myself a million years ago, looking for content, wanting inspiration, wanting to find what people had. So that's a really great opportunity for us because they're desperately looking for exactly what we're making. It just comes the challenge of how do we get it to them?
Content is king, but distribution is queen, right?
Exactly. And queen might be right up there above the king.
That's the old joke. Here, kingy, here, kingy. Yeah. Anyway.
We all know. The queen still rules in chess. She still wins.
I don't think the queen says yes, dear, as much as the king does.
Probably not.
Typically speaking. All right. Look at your crystal ball. 1 year from today, what's something you'd like to be celebrating personally and professionally?
I know we made some decently hefty kind of social goals where we wanted to be on our follower count for Instagram and Facebook. We just started our TikTok, which is definitely a slower go. So I'd love to see us reach some of those numbers. We're just starting to kind of reintroduce our YouTube channel to make that just a little more accessible and be a different way for couples to be able to consume wedding content specifically. Weddings are the weirdest space. You're expected kind of as a couple to be this industry expert on every possible vendor you hire. And that's impossible and overwhelming. So thankfully, as someone who does have a lot of wedding and private event and wedding event experience, I want to be able to be a resource to my couples. So we're really trying to create different types of content, shooting some later today about couples, about weddings, about wedding trends and opportunities. And how do you do this thing? What does it mean to have a second photographer? Why is it valuable? How do you write an invitation? What does that wording look like? Right? There's so many very specific questions couples have that we have the answers to. I can answer for them. So I'm really excited to have our channels be used for that informational purpose. And that does come with wanting some follower goals, wanting to reach a certain subscriber level. But ultimately, I'm so excited to get to provide answers that people want that makes their wedding planning process easier. It always makes me so sad when I hear couples say, oh, I hated it. It was so stressful and annoying and hard and emotional. And those things are part of the process because you're spending a lot of money and that comes with emotions. But I want it to be able to be a fun process they look back on, and we're excited by the opportunities and found joy in the planning of this beautiful, wonderful day of their life. So I'm really excited to get to help couples hopefully find things that make their planning process easier. So for me, that just means making a lot more content, a lot more video content. Yeah. And then I'd love to be able to help other vendors use and understand the content that we're creating. So whether that means Toast does, speaking at different events or just a little bit more in the public sphere, because we are really different for our industry. And how do I help introduce Toast to the world in a way that makes sense?
Excellent. Hey, I hope more and more brides and grooms find you, because it seems like their day will be a much easier process, and they'll have
I'd like to think so.
A beautiful keepsake forever after the fact. Please tell us what your URL is, where they can find Toast Wedding Films, and what social media channels you're using these days.
Yeah, so you can find us at toastweddingfilms, plural s.com. And then online, our handle is always going to be Toast Wedding Films. And that's going to be on Facebook, on Instagram, on TikTok, on Pinterest, on YouTube, all the big five. And we're on there at Toast Wedding Films. Our logo is nice and pink. You'll see it. That's everywhere.
Julianna Oates, thank you so much for spending some time with us on Business Ninjas. I wish you and yours and Toast Wedding Films all the best in the future. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much, Andrew.